Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the classiest stream we'll probably have of Madden 21 and the very last stream we'll have of Madden 21, the Better League Hall of Fame class, Madden 21. I am your standard host, CMass, here on Better League Network. I am joined by my standard co-host, and that's Mr. Connor Rice, the man who carries Better League Network himself. Connor Rice, how you feeling tonight, man?
That's very kind of you, CMass. A very Justin comment there. I'm doing well, CMass. You know, this is one of my favorite productions you do every year. Obviously, you know, Alex Gossett, who we'll introduce later, kind of the godfather of the Better League Hall of Fame. It's just, you know, it's a great night to be inducting some quality artificial intelligence, some quality talent into the Better League Hall of Fame. You know, these are names that'll go down three books for the Better League, and I'm excited to see who made it, and I'm excited to give them their due respect here as we close out the Madden 21 cycle.
Very, very excited to announce somebody who hasn't been on the stream, and I don't even know when the last time he was on the stream, and that's
Probably
the commissioner.
Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah, the commissioner himself, Mr. Alex Gossett. Alex, how you feeling tonight, bud?
Oh, I'm great tonight. I'm just glad we can finally put the end cap on Madden 21 and look forward to starting the new cycle.
Absolutely. As Morty's in the chat saying RIP to Madden 21. It was a solid cycle, I think, as far as Better League's concerned. Probably one of the best cycles we've ever had. But as this being the last one, let's move forward to the artificial intelligence that will be joining the hollowed halls of the Better League Hall of Fame. Let's go ahead and jump right into the method of how it's decided. Alex Gossett, kind of take it away on how it's kind of decided.
So to be eligible for the Hall of Fame, it is strictly for drafted players or artificial intelligence that we have coined. I allowed each team to nominate up to 2 of their players, and then this will outline every Hall of Fame inductee's career and their accomplishments and any awards they earned. And this presentation will be from the least to the most votes received.
Absolutely. So, and I want to talk about it a little bit as we go along, but how was the decision made for the cutoff as far as who got in and who didn't on the votes?
I went by, so the NFL does from 4 to 8, and there's a pretty distinct 8 that stuck out.
Okay.
Through accomplishments and through the voting,
Okay.
like a certain threshold. Yep.
So as, and I've already forgotten how many guys we have going in. I think it's 8, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 8 guys going in. So the 9th guy, there's a big drop off, is what you're saying, in votes.
For sure.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. All right, that's awesome. As we've got 11 people popping in here, appreciate all you who are being in here and the solid follow as soon as we started from host 00312. Seems like a fake account, but we'll take it. We'll go ahead and move on here to the class of Madden 21 as voted by their peers. Alex, you want to go ahead and announce who the first person joining the hall will be?
The first inductee of the Madden 21 class will be cornerback Jalen Daniels, LA Rams.
And as you see there at the bottom, 10 out of 19 votes, 52.6%. Connor, let's get your opinion on Jalen Daniels.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, Jalen Daniels, you know, it's always going to kind of be a borderline case heading into this Hall of Fame. He was not one of the bigger names necessarily on the ballot, but you cannot deny his accomplishments, in my opinion. A very, very deserving Hall of Famer to start this thing off. One thing about Jalen Daniels is he always showed up in big games, big divisional games. You know, the NFC West was consistently the most competitive, the deepest, I should say, division in this league from front to back. And he consistently showed up in those games, you know, got picks in the last 6 games he played against the Seahawks specifically, showed up against the 49ers as well, did a really, really good job against Ben and Lucky specifically. And his final 4 seasons, 2023 through 2026, he got double-digit picks in all of those, 12, 11, 13, and 10, you know, respectively for those final 4 seasons. So he really, really, you know, as he was given a starting role, as he was, you know, DB1 within this LA Rams team, he was really, you know, given more and more of the responsibility, and he showed out. You know, he brought this LA Rams defense to great heights, and he's definitely a deserving Hall of Famer. I'm excited to see what King has to say about him.
Classic first draft corner taken. He was the best corner in that draft, and he turned out to be the best corner, or one of the best corners, in the artificial intelligence for Madden 21. This guy, and I played the Rams, it seemed like almost every year was a problem. That secondary was the second best secondary in the league behind the Cleveland Browns. And this guy was the best player on that secondary. And, we all gave him a hard time about trading away Jalen Ramsey. And I think this is the pick he got for him. I'm not quite sure. But to take this guy and then end up being a player who, in my opinion, had more of an impact than Jalen Ramsey was pretty awesome. Big Alex, your thoughts on Jalen Daniels? And I know we have a quote from Mr. Daniels.
I mean, I think Daniels was the best defensive player not named Stephen Cooper in the cycle, and I think those stats speak for themselves. I'm just shocked how, he was the lowest vote-getting inductee. He didn't have, the name recognition of, the Stephen Coopers and, the Matt Davises, but he was far and away one of the better defensive players of the cycle.
Absolutely. And we have Steele in the chat says you're welcome, King, because I'm pretty sure King didn't nominate anybody. So I think
Steele did nominate for King.
Was he the only nomination?
Steele put Jordan and Daniels. The only information. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just meant, did anybody else nominate Jalen Daniels, or was Steele the only one?
Steele was the only one. The whole idea was to nominate your own players, but I thank Steele for doing King a favor.
Shout out to Steele, man, because Jalen Daniels would have made it without him. And I think the next slide, oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. So the next slide is a quote by King about Jalen Daniels. Alex, I'll let you go ahead and read that off.
When I traded Jalen Ramsey, people thought I was crazy. They didn't realize that the new Jalen Daniels, was going to be a step up from the latter Jalen. But I knew that this 5'9" ball hawking machine was going to be a playmaker for our defense. In fact, we were so confident that we took him at pick 3. Season 1 was up and down for Daniels, but a few breakout games, a few Pro Bowls, and 61 interceptions later, he's in the Better League Hall of Fame. King.
Congratulations to Jalen Daniels, who gets his bust into the Better League Hall of Fame. And I don't know if we've announced it or the idea's already been out there, but I'm pretty confident the historian is working on something, some sort of document, or maybe you're working on it, that talks about all the Better League or Hall of Famers we have out there. I'm not sure if that's announced or if that's happening, but I'd love for that to happen. Next up, let's move on to our second player, another defensive player who is inducted to the Better League Hall of Fame. Alex, take it away.
Next up, we have linebacker Derek Theory, the New York Giants.
Rocking 11 out of 19 votes. 57.5 people said Derek Theory, although we'll get the opinion on the coach here shortly on the pronunciation of the name. But Connor, your thoughts on this linebacker?
Yeah, man. I mean, you talk about just an absolutely electric rookie season specifically. Derek Terry, we knew he was a physical freak coming out of college. He dominated in Arizona State. Was a relatively late pick in the first round, despite his physical attributes, his physical gift in that linebacking position, and he showed out immediately for Hero Austin's New York Giants. 14 interceptions and 5 touchdowns in his rookie year. Obviously with the user linebacker, you maybe don't need to dev them quite as much as DBs, for example, guys who you don't use their every play, but still, I mean, that's just an incredible way to kind of make your presence felt, make your name felt in the Better League right out the gate. And he was just a consistent, just dominant force within that New York Giants defense his entire career. Never had fewer than 8 interceptions in a season, broke double digits in interceptions twice, which for, again, a linebacker, given how linebackers were nerfed in Madden 21, is very, very impressive. Consistently led the team in tackles, as well, and was taking some of those picks to the house. You had to account for Thierry at all times, stopping the passing game, stopping the running game. He was just an absolute force and a very, very deserving Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. We just gave a lot of credit to Jalen Daniels with his 61 interceptions, I think is what we said. This guy had 59 at a linebacker. And then also had 6 fumbles, 6 sacks, and 19 touchdowns that he had. I mean, this guy was a beast. I mean, if there wasn't another defensive player who may or may not be named later in this, Stephen Cooper, the fact that, that guy exists, I feel like this guy's overshadowed a little bit. But this guy was an absolute stud in New York. And I played in New York, it felt like almost every single season. And this guy was a stereotypical sideline to sideline, ball hawking, playmaking, middle of the field type linebacker, and I'm really glad that he's moved on and no longer have to face him, because he was just an absolute beast out there in the middle of the field. Alex, your thoughts?
Being in the opposite conference, I thankfully didn't have to experience much of Derek Terry. But the one game that I did play against him, Austin just terrorized me with him all game. I believe we have Austin in the booth as well, too.
You guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what's going on?
Well, you're a player who was inducted to the Hall of Fame. What's going on with you?
Oh, shoot. Sorry, I just joined and I don't have the stream like the volume on. So, but yeah, I call him Terry. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but given the fact that I got the Giants and the defense was not so great early on in the cycle, he was like the single most impactful player for me throughout the cycle on defense until like Jalen Johnson and some of those other guys started to kind of develop a little bit. But in terms of a linebacker, like a user linebacker that had an impact, I mean, 59 interceptions. Like, this guy was a ball hawk, 93 speed. You could certainly make the argument that anybody could have used him. And it's funny because I had a little whiteboard at my house when we had the first draft, and I wrote down just a couple of the players that I wanted to go for. And it was Stephen Cooper, Derek Terry, and Matt Dobbins, who ended up going to the Falcons. And Terry just dropped to, I want to say, like, pick 24. And the rest is history, like, absolute beast. And it's just good to have some artificial intelligence out there that was developed from normal dev to X Factor. So
I thought for sure you were going to say you had written down on your whiteboard no other names except Derek Thierry or bust is what I thought you were going to say. I thought like a draft day moment. Your thoughts on Steele in the chat saying that Terry was inflated by a horrendous division?
no comment.
Oh, man, come on. I thought I was going to get a clip out of you. You got any questions for the coach that got his player inducted to the Hall of Fame there, Connor?
No, I'll be honest. I don't. Just congratulations on getting him in. You know, obviously, part of him getting inducted is due to your incredible user skill as well. So I want to congratulate you. You know, it's not easy getting a user linebacker inducted. So you had to do some great things with him. And despite the fact that the division may have helped you a little bit, he still showed up in those big games against great users. So congratulations, hero.
Thanks, bud.
Big Alex, you got anything for him?
I've got nothing.
Cool. I mean, second straight cycle where we had a linebacker from New York make it into the Hall of Fame. So congratulations, Coach Pyle. Congratulations to Derek Theory. Is that what you called him? Theoretically, it's Theory. So congratulations to him as a linebacker to make it into the Hall of Fame. Will forever be remembered. And is he the coach of your upcoming Browns team? I don't remember.
No, it's Amani Booth. There was no way I wasn't going with Amani Booth after what he did in like 4 seasons.
I almost forgot about that guy. We may get to him later. We'll see. But let's go ahead and move on from Derek Thierry. And you want to go ahead and announce the next player, Mr. Alex Gossett?
This was personally one of my favorite stories of this last cycle, probably the best comeback story. Next up, we have the Operation Sports quarterback, Norman Fletcher, quarterback, Saints.
14 out of 19 votes, 73.7%. Norman Fletcher. Connor, your thoughts on this guy?
Oh man, I mean, what a roller coaster of a career Norman Fletcher had. Obviously, Norman Fletcher, I think, was the primary reason why we ended up switching back from Operation Sports to regular sliders halfway through the cycle. Some of the throws he was making, CMass, you can especially attest to that in your playoff game with him, either season 2 or season 3, I can't remember. But he had a shaky start to his career, especially in the big game situations, big game moments. But we're going to talk a lot about Matthew Davis later. That's not a spoiler. He made it, y'all. But Norman Fletcher may have had the best Super Bowl performance that any quarterback had all cycle long, honestly. That final season 7 game against Austin, over 90% completion, really carrying that Saints team to an upset victory over the New England Patriots, again, in season 33 in that final season. He really just showed up when it mattered most in that situation. And, Again, didn't have the best rookie year. His second year, he actually had more interceptions than touchdowns. But despite Bernard from the Bayou, calling for his head after every Saints loss, Coach Dan really stuck with him, stuck with this guy, devved him to what he could be, and Norman Fletcher, a deserving Hall of Famer. Which I don't think we would have said that before season 7, but season 7 really solidified his position in the Hall of Fame. So congrats to Dan.
Yeah, our first nominee or inductee, sorry, that actually won a Super Bowl 33 champion and Super Bowl 33 MVP, as probably I think the last game that Norman Fletcher played on Operation Sports was against the Chicago Bears, and I think he had at least 6 or 7 overthrows. And we actually have a piece of that phone call with Alex Gossett we're going to play and see how Dan convinced him. I'm just kidding. That'd be pretty awesome, though. I'd love to have that be a fly on the wall for that conversation when he was able to convince Alex to switch back to regular sliders. But Norman Fletcher, man, like Connor said, one of the best stories of the cycle, going from somebody drafted. I think a lot of people thought it was a reach. I think he came out as a quarterback, wasn't very highly touted, wasn't very high overall, but was able to go ahead and find his way, and eventually in that last season find his way and take his team to a Super Bowl victory. Alex Gossett, your thoughts?
To start off, I was one of Fletcher's biggest critics during the Operation Sports era, but I'm really proud of Dan for sticking with him and just building him to what he became. Like if you would have saw him season 2, then up to season 7, becoming Super Bowl 33 champion and MVP.
Did I lose you? Or are you still talking? I think we might have lost.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Okay.
Yep. There we go.
Yeah, you were proud of him because he stuck with him, and your biggest criticism, you're the biggest criticizer of him. What else you got?
Oh yeah, and just how he became Super Bowl champion MVP, and I got nothing else. I'm sorry. Yep.
Good,
I got lost for a second.
And Norman Fletcher asked for his GM/coach Dan Ragnon to go ahead and say a few words for him. So he's actually here in the chat. Dan, this has got to be a proud moment for you and your quarterback. How you feeling?
Hey guys, I hope you're having a great night. Great show so far. I'm just so proud of this kid. I mean, I remember that very first draft. I actually traded Marshawn Lattimore because I had to move around cap. The cap situation was all screwed up in New Orleans. And I traded up into the first round, and I basically said, I don't have a quarterback. I am going to pick the highest rated A+ throw power quarterback and take him to a great career. And Norman was that guy, and he came out very raw. He came out, I think, maybe a 69 overall. But, that, and I knew going into the beginning of his career, because the way the devs work, the way quarterback deving works, it has to be a long-term grind of a process. You can't just magically become good right away. As I say that, Matthew Davis was just like superstar dev at the end of his first season, but let's forget about that. I knew going into it, it had to be such a grind. And yes, there were growing pains, and it was very painful. So painful, so many terrible losses. And we had some nice wins too along the way, but his whole career was overshadowed by just not getting it done when it mattered the most. And we take a lot of pride in playing well in the playoffs, and it just wasn't that with him. But with that being said, I've been doing CFMs for maybe 5 cycles now, on and off. Norman Fletcher's journey was the greatest moment of perseverance in my Madden life. And I am so proud of what he accomplished on the back end of his career, not only succeeding in the end, but also increasing his overall and being probably one of the top elite passers in this game. He had X Factor ability at the very end, the very first quarterback to ever have 99 overall drafted in this better league. In the 5 cycles, first ever 99 quarterback and the only 99 quarterback. And he had such a phenomenal final season. And with Omaha and Hot Route Master, we got the job done, and that's all that matters. And I'm just so proud of everything he did. And that's all I have on him. Just he was a journey. He was A lot of growing pains, but you know what? We stuck through it. We got it done. And he was a great player in this league, and he's going to be a phenomenal coach in Minnesota as well.
Coach, congratulations getting your guy into the Hall of Fame. Will forever be remembered as one of the greatest quarterbacks in Better League history. And I got to ask, was there ever a moment, with the pressure of the New Orleans fans in the Bayou pressuring you to potentially move on from Fletcher, was there ever a moment for a second that you thought that you were going to move on from to end up being the future Hall of Famer?
Absolutely not. No, you know me. You guys know me very well, and I have this philosophy. I was talking about the grind of developing a quarterback. There's one thing that you have to know when you're deving a quarterback in modern day CFMs is that you have to stay. You cannot give up on him, because if you dump him for somebody else and for another project, that's going to take 6 years to get him where you want to be. You have to stick with your guy, stick with the plan, stick with the process. The moment I drafted him, I knew that was my quarterback for the rest of the cycle. And whatever ups and downs, there's always going to be ups and downs. We had more downs than ups, unfortunately, this cycle. But in the end, we stuck with him, we persevered, and we got the job done. I'd also like to thank all the critics, too, all the people that fired him up, like the people on Better League Happy Hour, people like Jesse, people like you, CMass, people like Alex firing me up in chat. He remembered everything we said about him, and he put a big bow on top of the cycle with one of the as Connor said, one of the great performances in Super Bowl history. So we got a championship to New Orleans for Bernard in the Bayou, who, had all those wonderful things to say to him earlier in the cycle. That stuff does not matter anymore. He's a champion. He's a Super Bowl MVP, and he is a Better League Hall of Famer forever.
Absolutely. And I do want to say that Bernard was actually blowing up the Saints radio stations today after their preseason performance. But Connor, your thoughts on, or any questions you may have for Coach?
Well, I have no comment on that, CMass, first off. But second off, Dan, yeah, just congratulations. I mean, CMass really asked my question about, was there ever any level of doubt in Norman Fletcher? So I guess I'll just ask, what was it? You said that Norman Fletcher didn't have the best attributes, didn't have the best ratings, coming out of the draft. I think he said he was 69 overall, 70 overall, something like that. Oh, yeah. What was it about him that caught your eye coming out of college? Obviously, I'm sure the scouts were looking at, all of the quarterbacks coming out of college. What was it about Fletcher specifically when you were drafting him that caught your eye?
I thought he was I felt like all those quarterbacks were very raw coming out. There was no guy that just stuck right out. I saw A+ throw power. I saw 21 years old. I saw a decent, maybe short or deep accuracy, something like that. And I said, you know what? Let's take this kid and let's go to work. And that's what we did. We went to work, and it was just a long journey, but and you know what, too, we were positive the whole way through. I know we were down bad every now and then, but when the new season came, we were positive, and we always looked forward to what was possible, because we knew great things were possible. It just had to be done. And I'm just so proud of everything that happened. Once again, I'll say it, greatest moment of perseverance in my Madden life. It just competing in 5 different Madden cycles in different leagues. This is definitely one of, my all-time Madden video game moments.
Alex, anything for Coach?
This is definitely what makes CFM so special, is moments like this. You just put all that work in and hope it pays off in the end, and then it does for you. Dan, I'm very much looking forward to squaring up against Coach Fletcher 2 times a season for the rest of the cycle.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, Dan. As we induct another quarterback here, Norman Fletcher, as he said, the only and first 99 overall artificial intelligence quarterback. Congratulations to Norman Fletcher, and Super Bowl 33 champion and MVP. And now we're going to go ahead and move forward to another offensive player. Big Alex, take it away.
Next up, we have the only player going in with a teammate into the Hall of Fame that is running back Imani Booth, New York Giants.
16 out of 19 votes. I want to know who the 3 people that were drunk and didn't vote this guy into the Hall of Fame. 84.2%. Here are his stats. Connor, your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously Booth and Banyard had kind of that rivalry in terms of who was going to end up being the best artificial intelligence running back when it was all said and done. But man, I honestly, despite the fact that I'm biased towards Banyard, I honestly think that Imani Booth secured it. When you look at his stats, when you look at his physical abilities, when you look at what Hero Awesome was able to do with him game in and game out, I do truly believe that Imani Booth was running halfback one, I guess, if you will, in terms of the artificial intelligence guys this cycle. I mean, 96 speed. He was or I believe the second fastest running back in the league behind Rashad Arnett. And, with those abilities and with what Hero Austin was able to do, reading those lanes, Imani Booth is just an absolute problem. Hero Austin, you got to give him his credit offensively. He knows who he is offensively. He runs a West Coast style. He runs a run heavy style. And, man, I can say it having played, Hero Austin twice last cycle and gotten blown out both times. Imani Booth is just an absolute problem, man. I mean, I consider myself a pretty good user against the run most of the time, but I had no clue what to do against Booth. Those inside zones were just fucking my world up. So, congratulations to him. 909 overall, had a lot of great moments both in the regular season and the postseason. So, good on Imani Booth, man. He deserves it.
And this is our first inductee that wasn't drafted by the team that he basically had his lengthy career with. Imani Booth, somebody that I played almost every single season, and this guy was somebody you had to account for on every single play. It was to the point where if anybody else beats us, that's fine, as long as we stop Imani Booth, which was way harder to do than what it was to actually say it. Imani Booth was probably, other than Cam Akers, in my opinion, probably the toughest person to try to stop. Just because Cam Akers had human joystick. But Imani Booth with that speed was just an absolute stud, an absolute problem. 99 overall by the end of it, 2-time MVP, best running back, one of the best running backs in the league, artificial intelligence or not. Definitely, in my opinion, should have been a unanimous inductee, but wasn't by the people in the of voters here. Big Alex, your thoughts on Imani Booth?
Oh, absolutely. He should have been unanimous. He was just one of the most electric players of this cycle. Kind of like the 1A or 1B to the Chris Banyard, but I am curious to see how next cycle will look with running the ball, because I was watching highlights before we were starting the show, and just how different the player movement is. I don't know if we'll see an almost 10,000 yard rusher in Madden 22 like we did in Madden 21.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think we will. I think we'll see a lot more MVPs being quarterbacks than we did running backs in the past. But we'll see. That's Madden 22, Madden 21. We actually have Coach Pyle back in here, the only person to be on here twice, talking about his second player inducted, Mr. Imani Booth. Your thoughts, Austin, on your player?
First and foremost, I cannot believe he was not unanimous.
Yeah.
But I can see why. Probably just lack of playoff success, and I get it. It's hard to follow up Norman Fletcher, because Norman Fletcher is the true, just incredible story in terms of artificial intelligence and going to get in the Super Bowl. So shout out to Dan. I think I would be remiss if I did not bring up how I got Imani Booth, and it took 2 off seasons of talking to Nick, and the first off season,
just to get a response from the first DM, or you actually were talking?
No, we talked a little bit. Nick and I did. We talked a little bit, and he's like, "No, I want to use him as my return man," and I was like, "Good gracious." I was like, "All right, man, go ahead and do your thing." And then, so his second season, he was on the bench. All he had was 8 yards. And it was kind of a risk because I traded Saquon, I think, that season, and Darius Geis? Yeah, Darius Geis just wasn't fitting my play style, so I knew I had to take a risk and go out there and get someone. It was the perfect risk to take. He was 73 overall at the time, but I figured with that speed, I could make him into something, especially with my scheme. And I mean, the proof's in the stats. And what he did over the course of the next 4 seasons, 2 MVPs, and really the only thing he's missing is playoff success, but that's on his coach. And I mean, it's incredible to have such an impactful player in a league like Better League with, I mean, quite honestly, coming into Madden, Better League and back in 19, going like 2-14, 3-13, just being like complete trash, and having a very competitive cycle, building around two Hall of Fame players and Terry and Monty Booth. This is the icing on the cake for me, a great Madden 21 cycle. Much improvement. So yeah.
Definitely great improvement for you personally, and then obviously Imani Booth being on the bench at Atlanta, and then all of a sudden getting the opportunity right away with the New York Giants. This might be a tough question to answer on the spot, but what was the moment or the game that you really thought, wow, I got something special here with Imani Booth?
I think I knew immediately. I think I played, it was the old Dolphins user, and it was like week 1 or week 2 of the preseason. And I just threw conservative on because Nick told me that Amani had a lot of fumbling issues in his first season with the Falcons. That's kind of why he benched him. So I put conservative on and just kind of, inside zoned to death. And I want to say he had like 150 to like 200 yards rushing and like 100 receiving. Like he was a problem at 73 or 74 overall.
Yeah.
And at that point, I knew I was like fully committed. I wasn't going to need another running back the entire cycle. But I mean, it was all started. The domino was trading Saquon, and if I didn't get Amani Booth, like my cycle probably goes a hell of a lot differently. I think he saved me midway through the cycle after, I don't know, kind of making a sketchy trade and trading probably the best running back at the time and Saquon. So.
Connor?
I'm just curious, Austin. You were talking a lot about trading Saquon to ultimately end up getting Booth, and I think there are a lot of parallels between you trading Saquon early in the cycle to get Amani Booth, and then me trading Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to ultimately get Baynard. So I have my own reasons for why I traded Chubb and Hunt, but I'm just curious, given how run heavy you are as a user, like why did you trade Saquon so early on? I'm just curious.
I felt like if I was ever going to really get over the hump, and I didn't, but at least not in the playoffs. I think I competed in the regular season against a lot of good users, and I pride myself on that. But I saw what you did with Banyard, and like literally, you were probably the reason why I actually went this route. I saw you trade Chubb and Hunt. You got some assets, so I was like, you know what? Let me just trade Saquon and get as much as I possibly can. It didn't really work out in terms of the pieces I got because D-Law was kind of trash and guys just didn't really fit my play style. Jalen Johnson ended up working out for me, but that's what went into it, was like try to get some pieces and kind of get that Giants roster better, because I think going into like season 3, I still only had like one superstar on defense, and it was like an aging cornerback in Bradbury. So I knew I had to make a move. That was like the point in the cycle where I felt like I needed to make a pivot. And so that's really what went into it. And I traded like a 3rd round pick and I think Sidney Jones for Amani Booth. So I wasn't really giving it too much up. It wasn't like too big a risk. And I think I kept guys just as like insurance policy. Ultimately traded him for like a superstar defensive end. So I mean, it worked out. It was a risk. I saw you do it, and then you go win the Super Bowl, season 2, season 3? So it's a proven method.
Be honest.
I do have one question. Is Coach Booth going to follow the same formula in Cleveland? Is he going to ship off
I am taking
Nick Chubb?
I am taking offers on Hunt and Nick Chubb.
Oof.
And
Well, hopefully they're not watching.
I have actively gotten offers from multiple people for both of them. So
Imagine.
I don't know. Like I do think there's something special about like getting an AI player. I think I was talking to Dan in the party the other day, like getting an AI player and just developing them throughout an entire cycle. And running back is one that I can do. Quarterback is one that he can do very easily. So it's fitting. So
yeah. Congratulations to Amani Booth and Austin getting 2 Hall of Famers in the same cycle. And congratulations to you on just personal improvement over this cycle, becoming a very relevant user all season long, including the playoffs. And you didn't have the success you wanted, but you were still relevant when that time came, which a lot of users can't say. So congratulations getting both players in there. Amani Booth, definitely one of the best running backs out there. We'll see running back success here in the next cycle, as Alex brought up. But let's go ahead and move on from Amani Booth, and we're going to go ahead and move forward. Alex, give it away. Still muted.
Next up, we have running back Christopher Banyard, Browns.
Another one that I'm surprised wasn't unanimous. 17 out of 19 votes, 89.5%. Connor, we'll save your thoughts here in a second. I'll start it off because this is obviously your guy, but a little surprised that he actually got more votes than Amani Booth, but that's no disrespect for Christopher Banyard, the Super Bowl champion. This guy absolutely dominated that Super Bowl, and you see the stats there in Super Bowl 29. 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. The play that Christopher Banyard had in that whole playoff run, I think, cemented his Better League Hall of Fame status. He could have been just average the rest of the time. Just that run itself, I think, took him to the Better League Hall of Fame. This guy was an absolute stud with all that speed. The way Connor used him with the counters and the traps and every single run that you could throw out there, Connor was throwing out there with Christopher Banyard, and he was successful with every single one of them. This guy was just an absolute stud. I played the Browns twice, and both times I think he had over 100 yards, and I pride myself on stopping the run. This guy was just really tough to stop. All it took was one carry. He could take it to the house. So congratulations, Christopher Banyard. Big Alex, your thoughts before we get to Connor.
This is the man that almost single-handedly ended Ben's Madden 21 cycle. I mean, just every time he touched the ball, his toss to the end zone, it was just unbelievable. And that playoff run, like you said, CMass, was what brought him to where he is today.
All right, Connor, your thoughts on your guy.
Yeah, man. I mean, I could wax poetic about Banyard, and I'll try to keep it short here just for the sake of the show. But this is the first time I've stayed with a team for the full cycle since Madden 17. Madden 18, I bounced around between a few different teams. Madden's 19 and 20, I didn't stay for the full cycle. So I took a lot of pride in deving Chris Banyard. Even though it's pretty easy to dev running backs in Madden 21. I took a lot of pride in deving him and getting him to where he was. Obviously, there was a lot of doubt. Connor, why are you trading Nick Chubb? Why are you trading Kareem Hunt? Especially why are you trading Kareem Hunt to a division rival, which I regret in retrospect. But that did get me the pick that ended up becoming Chris Banyard. He was the only running back you'll ever see, coming out of college who had no idea how to juke or spin. He never juked, he never spanned the entire cycle, but his ball security was second to none, ladies and gentlemen. I think he only had one fumble the entire cycle. And
Wow.
Yeah, y'all brought up the playoff run. It's fair to say there's no way in hell I win a Super Bowl without that, stacked Browns defense, obviously. But there's also no way in hell I win that Super Bowl without Chris Banyard, man. I mean, he showed up not just in that Super Bowl, but he was really my only source of offense against Jesse in the wild card round. I think he got like 150 yards against little Alex. He showed up in a big way against Austin too. Really, all 4 of those games, Chris Banyard was kind of driving the engine on offense. And man, I'm just, I'm so happy, so proud that I was finally able to get a player into the Better League Hall of Fame. This means a lot, especially for a long-time user like myself. It means a lot to get Banyard in here. So, yeah, I'm happy to see him make it, man, and his name will live on in Better League lore.
I gotta ask. So you had the same question for Austin as far as why he traded away those players. Was it? I mean, so the plan, obviously, you traded away 2 running backs that were absolute studs. Nick Chubb being just crazy good. And then it's not like, I don't know if you had it in your plans to take a guy like Banyard, but it was a 2nd-round pick. So usually that's somebody you're not really expecting to be a huge contributor. So, I mean, what was the plan there? And was the plan all along taking the fastest running back available?
I mean, it honestly wasn't. I mean, I knew heading into that draft I needed a running back. In round 2, I was just like, oh, there's still this super fast running back available. Let's just take him and see what we can do. It's not like, even when I had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, it's not like I relied a ton on their juking and trucking abilities anyway. It's not like I don't really run like that regardless. So that was just kind of my mantra. And honestly, the reasons I traded Chubb and Hunt were because I was overly paranoid about my cap space. I wanted to re-sign guys like Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, Grant Delpit, the Myles Garrett, the stalwarts of the Browns defense. And I was just like, oh, I got to keep all the cap space I could. Now, in retrospect, I absolutely could have kept Nick Chubb and I would have been fine. But, you don't know that heading into the cycle. So that was just kind of my rationale was cap space, have Baynard on a rookie contract for most of the cycle. And man, did he outperform that contract. Good Lord.
Absolutely. Big Alex.
I've got nothing for you, Connor. Just glad you had a great cycle and you were able to finally get a ring and get a Hall of Famer on top of it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Connor getting his guy and Christopher Banier. We're going to go ahead and move forward to the next player. Big Alex.
Next up, we have linebacker Stephen Cooper, Seattle Seahawks.
And another one that I'm just like, how is he not unanimous? I think this is our last defensive player. So everyone thinks is the best defensive player of the cycle. And two people didn't think that he was a Hall of Fame worthy, which really kind of blew my mind. Here are his stats. Connor, let's get your thoughts on this player.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Hero Austin saying it in the chat. You said it too, CMass. How Stephen Cooper is not unanimous absolutely blows my mind. I think there must have been some troll ballots filled out, because it's pretty clear that Stephen Cooper was the most impactful defensive player. Either him or Thierry in terms of this Madden 21 class here. I mean, double-digit interceptions 4 out of the 6 seasons he was in the league, including 16 interceptions his rookie year. I mean, that's 1 a game averaged out, and that's just absolutely unbelievable for a middle linebacker, especially with his rookie season. He wasn't even debbed up to the 94 speed, 94 excel he had at the end. So just unbelievable the way Lucky was able to use him, especially, people criticize Thierry for maybe being in a soft division. Not the case with the NFC West. 3 very quality users he was with. So, there's no stat padding there in terms of playing, mediocre users. He was playing great users pretty much the whole time. And Stephen Cooper was just an absolutely dominant force, man. I think I only played Stephen Cooper once. He was all over the field. I want to say he got a pick 6 against me. If not, he was at the very least, able to shut down Baynard. I remember that very well. And man, I didn't know, not to disrespect Lucky, I didn't know he had it in him in terms of, his user linebacker abilities, but man, was he just all over the place. Stephen Cooper, again, another deserving Hall of Famer, and how he wasn't unanimous is beyond me.
No, this is no shot to the linebacker of the Giants, Thierry, but Stephen Cooper was another level. This guy, I remember playing him and remember having to tell myself, you're going to have to learn how to throw outside the hash because there's just nothing going to be completed inside. Because this guy was just all over the field. He was basically a big safety in the middle of the field. That was just incredible. And look at this animation he's getting in this photo. He was getting animations like safeties out there, it seemed like. But he was just an absolute stud. He came out, had that rookie year that was amazing. And, he's definitely one of the best linebackers that I can think of in Better League history. I haven't been here that long. But man, Stephen Cooper changed games. He absolutely took over that defense. And, there's not a ton of defensive players as far as ability players are on that Seattle team that I can think of off the top of my head, other than maybe Jamal Adams. But man, Stephen Cooper was just an absolute stud. And every time I played him, it was basically throw outside the hash because nothing's getting completed over the middle except for completed to Stephen Cooper. Big Alex.
I mean, I think it's fair to say we can call Stephen Cooper the greatest defensive player in Better League history.
Oh, wow.
I mean, with that resume, and I believe that he was the most impactful non-pass rushing defensive player that we've had. I mean, 63 picks, 23 touchdowns. You can't compete with that. Topped off with best linebackers 3 times, defensive player of the year twice. No one even comes close.
Trying to figure out who won best linebacker those other years that he did. To be honest, I guess it was Thierry. Maybe
I think it was.
Yeah. Must have been Thierry. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, Lucky in the chat. I'm saying preach. Name the 2 people that didn't vote him. Maybe Alex will give that out in an article one day, or maybe he knows off the top of his head. But I believe we have a statement. Is that correct, Big Alex?
Yes, we do.
All right, take it over, man.
Stephen Cooper burst onto the scene when he ran a 4.37 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine. For many people, Cooper flashed with his DB-like speed at the linebacker position. However, what truly separated him from his peers were his instincts, hard work, and a never-relenting desire to be the best. After having one of the best defensive seasons in NFL history as a rookie, in which he led the league in interceptions and won Defensive Player of the Year, he immediately set the tone for the Seahawks defense as a premier talent and one of the best playmakers in the league. With 50 roaming the middle, quarterbacks had to avoid an entire section of the field, and running backs had to be ready for any hole to close immediately. Only a few Seahawks have had the honor to grace the Hall of Fame, and Cooper deserves this recognition as one of the best Seahawks of all time. Thanks, Cooper.
Wow, what a great speech. I'm tearing up a little bit after reading that one. But yeah, what a great speech and what a great player. Stephen Cooper going down in the lore of Better League history. Austin says lucky with the writing skills. Yeah, that was beautiful. Great. The little thanks Coop at the end, that really got me. All right. Congratulations to Stephen Cooper. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next player, another offensive player, Big Alex.
Next up, we have wide receiver Adonis Morrison.
This one blows my mind. Who's the one person? 18 out of 19, 94.7%. Connor, your thoughts on Adonis Morrison?
So, listen, we've talked about, guys who maybe should have been unanimous that weren't. Monty Booth, maybe Christopher Bannard, maybe Stephen Cooper. Just to give you all some context for what Adonis Morrison was able to accomplish statistically, right? Calvin Johnson had the most receiving yards in NFL history in 2012 with the Detroit Lions. He got 1,964 yards off of 122 receptions with the Lions. Again, most in NFL history. Adonis Morrison's worst season in the Better League beats out Calvin Johnson to get the most in the history of the NFL. Again, worst season beats him out. He got over 2,000 yards every season, all 5 seasons he was here. And his rookie year, he got 3,000 receiving yards. I mean, he could have retired after his rookie year damn near, and he still probably should have been unanimous in the Hall of Fame. Y'all are drunk if you don't think Adonis Morrison is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I want to know who the one person was to not vote Adonis Morrison in. They should be banned, Alex. They should be banned from voting for next cycle because that's just blatant disrespect. Sure, the Titans didn't have the team success, but shit. I mean, Calvin Johnson's Detroit Lions didn't either. Adonis Morrison, best receiver by a mile in Better League history, by a mile. I mean, he was unbelievable statistically, and he should walk into the Hall of Fame. He should be carried into the Hall of Fame on a silver platter.
How he lasted to pick 20 kind of blows my mind too. I mean, because he came out and had great ability. Like, he was really, really fast. And this is somebody, I didn't play the Titans a whole lot. I think I played them twice. And both times, or maybe just once, had Morrison. And I knew where the ball was going. I knew who he was going to try to throw it to. But he still got the ball. He still got his. Like, he could not be stopped. And I couldn't figure out why. This guy was just a Hall of Famer the day he stepped onto the field, like Kyle Pitts. And he is just amazing player.
Facts.
Morrison will go down as the best wide receiver in Better League history, in my opinion. Desmond Wilkerson was a great one that made it last year, and Morrison makes Wilkerson look like, an average player. He makes fast guys not look fast. Morrison was an absolute stud in all his years in Better League, and I'm very disappointed in the one user that didn't vote him to make him a unanimous player. Congratulations to Gamble getting this guy into the Hall of Fame. Big Alex, your thoughts?
Well, Dan just stated in the chat, even going by BL records, he holds the 3 best receiving seasons.
Crazy. Which
is just unreal. I mean, I think I played Gamble 3 times since he got Morrison, and it's just you couldn't stop him. I think he had 3-4 touchdowns every single game, just all deep shots.
And I do just want to reiterate what CMass said, because it was absolutely true when I played him too. You know where the ball's going when you play Gamble. Like, it's no secret that he's going to force feed Adonis Morrison. He still couldn't stop him. And, that was with my amazing secondary, Denzel Ward, all those guys. Like, I couldn't do shit to stop Adonis Morrison. It just, he's just built different. It is what it is.
Yeah. I had 299 overall corners, and neither one of them could stick him. They just couldn't figure it out. This guy was just absolute stud. I almost wanted to put both 99 guys on him to double team him. But Madden wouldn't let me. But my God, this guy was an absolute stud. Alex, you must tell us who the one person was at some point. As Dan said, shame the user. Although Dan usually didn't used to release the votes. Although he did have a change of heart for the power rankings. Shout out to he'll have a preseason power rankings at some point here probably in the next few weeks. But let's go ahead and move on from Adonis Morrison, the greatest wide receiver in Better League history, and move on to the last player. I'm sorry, we do have a quote here that Alex is going to go ahead and read.
I would like to start out first and thank the Better League Hall of Fame voters for this prestigious honor. It has been a long football journey to be here, and I could not have done this without the love and support of my beautiful wife, Shami Kawadi, and my 9 beautiful kids. On draft night, I waited in the green room through 23 picks until Coach Wally Rigg and the Titans selected me at 24. I will always be a Titan until the day I die. To the fans who supported me throughout the Titans Nation, I gave you everything I had week in and week out. Without you, the fans, there would be no football. I love all of you. MAGA 2024. Adonis.
Another great quote. These guys are creative with this. Shama Kawandi or whatever it is. That's great. That's awesome.
That was so hard to read with a straight face.
You paused and I was just like, oh, good luck. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I believe is the last player going to be inducted into the Better League Hall of Fame. Big Alex.
Last but not least, we have the greatest of all time, Matthew Davis, quarterback, Patriots. Unanimous, 19 for 19.
The only unanimous player in this cycle. I'm not sure how many unanimous players we've ever had, but this guy was well deserving. Connor, your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, what is there to say about Matthew Davis that hasn't been said already? You know, I'll try my best here. You know, he just. I say this is someone who played Austin in the playoffs, I believe, 4 times, and, you know, played him in the regular season, you know, at least I'd say, or 3 or 4 other times throughout the course of the cycle. You knew that you had to defensively play a perfect game and to get lucky in order to be able to even remotely shut down this Patriots offense. You know, Austin was just, I don't think I've ever seen someone just understand the game from an offensive perspective the way Austin did. You know, that goes back, you know, through all cycles in Better League. I don't think I've ever seen an offense, especially, you know, a passing game, that was just so unstoppable. I mean, you know, you can look at the man's career stats. You know, I don't need to read them off. It was just demoralizing to go against, honestly. And, you know, that's with me having, you know, one of the best secondaries, you know, ever constructed in the Better League. It was just so demoralizing to go against. You know, you think you have everything locked up. You think you've done an amazing job, you know, disguising your coverages, you know, being on point with your user. And then Matthew Davis will just find something, you know, fit a drop into a bucket where you're just like, God, like, what could I have done differently there? You know, that was the Matthew Davis experience. 4-time Super Bowl champion, greatest quarterback in Better League history. His name will be remembered forever. You know, of all of the guys being nominated into the Hall of Fame today, his name will be remembered forever in the Better League as just a winner. That's really all you can say about Matthew Davis. He just won games.
Matthew Davis. What can I say about Matthew Davis? I mean, season 1, Cam Newton was the starting quarterback for the Patriots, and that offense was pretty solid. I think they made it to the playoffs and lost in the first or second round, and you're thinking, you know, this guy's pretty good. You know, as far as the user, Austin's probably going to win a Super Bowl or 2. All of a sudden, they trot out this later 3rd-round pick out there, the skinny white kid named Matthew Davis. Put him out there, and what does he do? He goes on to win 4 Super Bowls and become the greatest quarterback, greatest player probably in Better League history. You don't even have to throw the word quarterback out there. This guy was an absolute stud, having played him twice in the Super Bowl, twice in the regular season, and even in his worst games, he was still a really good quarterback, really hard to stop. I don't think I really had the opportunity to stop him. And so congratulations to Austin, who couldn't be here and get a statement in, but Matthew Davis over polishing off his ring somewhere. Just one of the best, if not the best. Sorry, Alex.
Like Connor was saying, Austin had probably the most locked in, perfect scheme out of anyone we've ever seen. You just, no matter what you threw at Matthew Davis, he just picked you apart game in and game out. And nothing you could stop him.
Dan says,
I don't want to make this.
Go ahead.
I don't want to make this a suck Austin fest because he probably wouldn't want that either.
No,
but
not from us at least.
No, I don't think there's not much more we can say about him.
I will say one thing. Dan says what kind of goat was the second best quarterback of the most recent game, but I will say that Matthew Davis seemed to be Operation Sports immune. Even in those years, he was still balling.
Yeah.
Unlike the other quarterback, you know, that we talked about earlier, who, you know, Better League Hall of Famer for sure. But this guy just seemed like he just, no matter what, was going to get in. But let's go ahead and look at the full class here. Madden 21 class, Better League Hall of Fame, Jalen Daniels, Derek Thierry, Norman Fletcher, Amani Booth, Christopher Banyard, Stephen Cooper, Adonis Morrison, and Matthew Davis. These guys will forever be remembered in Better League lore, as Connor says, Better League history, the annals of history that Daniel will take down. Hopefully one day we'll have all the Better League Hall of Famers we can see. But congratulations to these guys. Here are the voting Alex was nice enough to share with us. And Alex, I'd like to kind of get your thoughts first, since you've seen these numbers more than me and Connor have. But here's the voting, how it turned out. Go ahead with your thoughts, Big Alex.
So we did have 2 players that received 0 votes, which were one of Justin's, Byron Mumphrey, and
Should have been 3.
Jimmy Shelton. Should have been 3. Jimmy Shelton of the Raiders. But I think pretty early on in the voting process, you could tell who was going to make it, and I think they're all pretty obvious choices. But I believe Stephen Cooper and Banyard should have been unanimous as well. I will be releasing this whole slideshow on Daddy Leagues, plus some analytics of the voting and the breakdowns, and I hope to collaborate with Dan on making like a universal Hall of Fame spreadsheet that includes all of the cycles together.
Connor, what are your thoughts on seeing these numbers?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of identify a couple of like fringe players that you could argue maybe should have made it. I want to say Raheem Easley was the sack leader among all AI players. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong there, but you could make the case for him getting it. Although with only 6 of a possible 19 votes, he was never going to make it. Dontrell Borum for the Bengals. You don't normally see tight ends really get considered for Better League Hall of Fame, but he was just an absolute menace, an absolute weapon out there in the AFC North. I can say I haven't played him twice this season. He was probably the guy that I had the most to count for in terms of shutting down as far as Cody's scheme goes, game in and game out. So just to give respect to a couple of guys who didn't make it, but who I think could have been, maybe fringe cases to get in. But yeah, as Alex said, the 8 guys were pretty clearly deserving. And again, you can see they were kind of like a tier above the rest in terms of how the voting broke out. So congrats to all 8 of them. Man, it's, very, very strong class. And again, like Alex said, like CMass said, I'm sorry, I can't wait to see all of the Better League Hall of Famers compiled into one document someday.
Looking at this list, it made me a little disappointed. We only got 19 responses. Obviously we're in the off season. The game I think had come out by the time we put this out, so I was hoping we'd get a little more hype for this. But a little disappointed we only got 19 responses. Thank you to those 19 who did respond. The biggest shock I see when you sent this to me and I was looking at these numbers, one, I was a little surprised Carlos Sharp got more votes than Antoine Jordan. But the biggest thing that I noticed was Rashad Arnett getting 2 votes. He came on late and was the fastest running back in the league. But, man, that guy was an absolute stud. I was a little surprised he only got 2 votes. I think it's mostly because Banyard and Booth were on there, and I guess people didn't want to vote for 3 running backs. But man, I think I wish he would have gotten a little bit more love. Who the is Jimmy Sheldon, but maybe he could have gotten a love. And Adrian Valdez getting a vote is just absolutely absurd. That should have never happened. No one in their right minds would vote for Adrian Valdez for Better League Hall of Fame. Shame on whoever it was. That's all I got to say about that. But congratulations to all the members, and we'll go back and show that slide one more time, to all the Better League members of the Madden 21 class. Congratulations to King, Austin, Dan, Connor, Lucky, Gamble, and of course Austin. A little surprised we didn't see a Chiefs offensive lineman make it, but we'll go ahead and we'll live. Is this? I haven't been in the league that long, but is this the first time you've never had a Hall of Famer, Alex, or is that something that doesn't happen that often?
This is the second cycle without one for me.
Oh, gotcha.
I did not have one in Madden 19.
Do you feel like that Carlos Sharp was probably your best shot? And do you feel like he should have been considered, or do you feel like he's right where he was supposed to be?
He was my best shot, but I don't think he deserved it based on the rest of the class. He was definitely an odd man out when compared to Stephen Cooper and Jalen Daniels, even Jordan, who had similar numbers to him.
Dan says 19 not bad for harassing people. I guess that's fair. Congratulations to all these guys, and thank you so much, Big Alex, for putting this all together. I apologize if I keep calling you Big Alex, but I just have to keep telling myself because I'm used to working with little Alex. But thank you so much for compiling this all together, getting these votes together. Thank you for coming on to Better League Network. That doesn't happen often as much as it should, and I'll give you a sucking up moment. Thank you so much for running the best league according to Data League on Xbox. So thank you so much for running this league.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Connor, any sort of final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, as we kind of put the final bow on this Madden 21 cycle, I think it was the best cycle we've ever had as a league. And I'm excited to have an even better cycle of Madden 22. Better League Network. We've been kind of dormant the last couple of months, as CMass was saying, but as soon as the cycle starts, we're going to come at you with more content than you've ever seen. So just be ready, Better League. I'm very, very excited.
Big Alex, closing thoughts, or maybe you want to tease something that may be coming in the future. This is your time. Whatever you like to say.
I do have one final comment. I think my favorite individual ballot that I received was they only voted for 5 people, and 2 of them were the 2 tight ends. I thought that was hilarious. Like, come on.
Was that Cody or Jesse?
That's a pretty good guess, probably.
I would feel pretty confident it was one of those 2 guys.
Yep.
All right. That's the bow, as Connor said, on the Madden 21 cycle. Thank you all so much for watching, all 7 of you that are still in here for this just barely over an hour show. Thank you so much. I mean, the next thing that we've got coming up is probably, obviously we still got the preseason tournament coming on, but at some point I know Dan said he's doing a preseason power rankings, so expect some sort of content from that. We always usually have a preseason podcast from Connor and the boys, so at some point I'm sure that'll be coming up. Is that correct, Connor?
Yeah. I mean, we need to get a sense of when the scouting update's coming out and when the cycle is going to happen, but that will absolutely happen. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for still watching. Thank you so much for being a part of Better League, and those who aren't part of Better League, if you want to join us, tough. Just kidding. There is tough shit. Oh no, there is definitely a wait list out there, which is getting bigger. It feels like every day. Thank you so much to Daddy Leagues, who's definitely not watching this, but put us as one of the top Xbox leagues according to them. So thank you so much, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all so much for watching, and cheers to Madden 22, which will be our next best cycle.